Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another episode of TEW 2020 WWE. And we are here week 2 of February 2022 and we are heading to the Judgment Day pay-per-view. These are the go-home shows for the Judgment Day pay-per-view. Like I said last episode, a very quick turnaround for this one. And we kick off this week of go-home shows with, of course, Monday Night Raw, which gets underway with General Manager Drake Maverick in the ring. And he invites, first of all, Indi now champion Johnny Gargano to join him, then the hardcore champion Tommaso Ciampa, and finally the WWE champion Adam Cole, who brings along Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly Royal Rumble winner, taking a night off. He's deliberating his decision, who he will face at WrestleMania, taking the night off to go away and think about it. In the ring though, Drake Maverick says that he has watched the tapes of last week. The Battle Royale number one contenders match, Gargano and Ciampa. The final two, both on the apron, both fell to the floor. Whose feet hit the mat first? And he shows a replay, and it shows Gargano and Ciampa's feet hitting the mat at the same time. Which leads to Drake Maverick announcing that at Judgment Day, Adam Cole will defend his WWE Championship against the Intercontinental Champion Johnny Gargano and the Hardcore Champion Tommaso Ciampa. For 100, Adam Cole objecting to this. He's not happy. Maverick says that he knew the rules. He agreed to the Battle Royale, and the Battle Royale had Gargano and Ciampa both win, and so both men get the shot at the title. Adam Cole pissed off. Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish going for Gargano and Ciampa. Adam Cole joining in on the attack, but Gargano and Ciampa managing to fight them all off, sending them away for another 100. Drake Maverick announcing in the main event tonight, Gargano and Ciampa, as much as Ciampa might not want to, will team again to take on the team of Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong of the Undisputed Era. Like I said, for another 100, two 100s to kick off the show. You can't ask for much more, can you? A good start to things. As next up, it is announced that in the second semi-final on the Raw side of the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, the Iconics will take on the now entering team of Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair wanting to deal with the problem of Naomi and Nia Jax, and no easier way to do that to get to the women's tag champs than by entering the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, because if you win that, you get a shot at the women's tag titles at WrestleMania. 4-88, they have their semi-final with the Iconics, and Lynch and Flair pick up the win for a 79. Good match, 82 Lynch, 76 Flair, 50 Royce, 50k. Happy with this, as Lynch and Flair advance. Next week it will be Alexa Bliss and Zoe Stark versus Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, with the winner of that advancing to the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Final at Elimination Chamber to crown an inaugural Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic champion. Then we have an interview with Montez Ford, and Montez Ford's looking to get back on track. He says since moving to Raw, he had a big start. He beat Adam Cole, he had his WWE title match, War Games, but in the new year, he lost a number one contenders match. Then he lost at the Rumble. He lost the Battle Royale last week. He wants to get back on track, and he says that starts tonight against Bobby Lashley one-on-one. He says he's going to beat Lashley, and he's going to get his year back on track. He says 2021 was a great year for Montez Ford, and he's determined to make 2022 even better for a 91. Very good little promo here from Montez Ford. Match with Lashley later tonight, but for now, we have Kairi Sane taking on Mandy Rose. Kairi Sane looking to prove herself worthy of a women's world title match with Sasha Banks. Can she beat Mandy Rose and do that? And the match goes on. And Sasha Banks coming out, trying to interfere. Kairi Sane taking her down though. Mandy Rose going for a cheap shot. Sane blocking it, taking down Rose, hitting the elbow drop. And in the end, picking up the victory. Kairi Sane with the win with that insane elbow for a 77. Another good match. 71 Sane, 60 Rose. Kairi Sane getting a women's world title match with Sasha Banks at Judgment Day. After the match, Kairi Sane gets her arm raised, celebrating. Sasha Banks looking on, not happy. She tried to interfere, but Kairi got the better of her, and Kairi earned a shot at her women's world title for a 92. Another good angle here. Sasha Banks just on a really, really good run of form, to be quite honest with you. As then, we have the second semi-final in the Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic on the Raw side. Last week, the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong, defeated Alexander and Ricochet to earn a spot in the Raw's final. And who will they face? Will it be the put-together team of the fabulous Frederick Fairchild and The Miz, accompanied by Maurice, who's trying to get the little boys to play along here? Or will it be the reformed unit of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn joining forces here. Had some issues with the Raw Tag Team Champions last week, and now joining up, entering the Classic, looking to get that match with the Celtic Warriors for the Raw Tag Titles. And in the end, they get a step closer. Owens and Zayn getting the victory here for a 90. What a match. That 98 from Kevin Owens really helping to it. A 100 against Adam Cole at the Rumble. Dropping 98s against Fairchild and The Miz. Kevin Owens. Incredible. 80 Zayn, 72 Miz, 67 Fairchild. Really, really good match. It ends with Miz in the corner. Fairchild tags himself in, tells Miz to get out. There's an argument. Miz jumps down from the apron when he sees Zayn running over. Sami Zayn hits the hell of a kick on Fairchild. Fairchild stuns. Zayn tags in Owens, hits the stunner, and gets the pin on Fairchild. The 90, really good match. Next week, it'll be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Undisputed Era. Owens, he's had to deal with the Undisputed Era a lot in recent months, and he'll have to do it one more time to get to the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic final. Can he do it? We'll find out later, but for now, after the match, Fairchild and Miz continuing to argue, and Maurice just seeming to have enough with these two idiots arguing all the time, walking away. Miz going chasing after her. Fairchild not happy either for a 67. Alright segment afterwards. As then next up we have the earlier announced match between Bobby Lashley and Montez Ford. 1-on-1. Montez Ford looking to get his year back on track, and Bobby Lashley looking to bounce back from that Royal Rumble pre-show defeat to Aleister Black. And in the end, Montez Ford on top, setting up for the frog splash when Moose, Dio Madden, Ezra Judge all try and get involved. Ford fighting them all off, MVP and Dawkins as well. And in the end, he manages to stop them all making any real interference, but the distraction is enough for Lashley to lock in the Hurt Lock, and Ford not tapping out, but fades for a 77. Bobby Lashley getting the win. 79 Ford, 67 Lashley. Good match. It's Bobby Lashley who comes up on top in the end, though, following that interference from the Hurt Business. As then we go backstage for an interview with Sasha Banks. Kayla Braxton asks her about earlier tonight trying to get involved in the Kairi Sane match. Is she worried about Kairi Sane? And Sasha Banks laughing off, saying, why would she be worried about Kairi Sane? Kairi Sane is not on Sasha Banks' level. Sasha Banks is the blueprint, the best, and the boss. And no one can go toe-to-toe in that ring with Sasha Banks, Kairi Sane included. So Kairi Sane wants this match at Judgment Day, then she can go right ahead, but it will end in tears for her when Sasha Banks retains her Women's World title, and as Sasha Banks stops talking because into frame walks the 2022 Royal Rumble winner, Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey congratulates the champ Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks saying to Ronda that, you know, congrats on winning the Rumble, but if I was you, I'd use my shot a little bit more wisely, to be honest, because I'd hate for you to make this big return and then waste your opportunity just to lose to me at WrestleMania for a 100. Really good segment between Sasha and Ronda here. Kayla Braxton instead of Kayden Carter. Oh God, names all so close together at points. But Sasha Banks warning Ronda, but Ronda Rousey, absolutely no fear, to be honest with you. As we have the main event next, it is the Intercontinental Champion of the World, Johnny Gargano, and the Hardcore Champion, Tommaso Ciampa. The team formerly known as DIY, but Ciampa will hit you in the face if you try and say that. Taking on the Undisputed Era's Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish. And in the end, Gargano and Ciampa, with maybe a little bit of DIY magic sprinkled in there, whether Ciampa likes it or not, hit the meeting in the middle on Strong and pick up the win for a 90. Another really good match. I think if this match and Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Fairchild and Miz both go a bit longer, I think with my product saying the matches have to be over 15 or 20 minutes, and they do that, they get above 90s, but I'm happy enough with this. 2 90 matches, really good segments as well. 94 Gargano, 89 Ciampa, 75 Strong, 76 Fish. Really good matches. Gargano and Ciampa come out on top. And then afterwards, Adam Cole looking on, realising that Gargano and Ciampa aren't arguing. They can work together. They can bring that DIY magic out. And if they do that at Judgment Day, they could get Adam Cole out of that match. They could take him out early. And then it could just be between them. Adam Cole is not happy about this. A triple threat match was bad enough against two guys like Gargano and Ciampa who can work together so well, and are showing that days before could be even worse for a 98 to end things. Another really good show on the go home show heading into Judgment Day here. Overall rating of 93. Very happy. 2 90 rated matches. Kevin Owens, incredible to get a 90 rated match out of Fairchild and The Miz as well. The main event is also incredible, and some great segments with Banks, Rousey, Cole, Gargano, Ciampa, and a lot of them. I am very happy. A very good episode of Raw here, and hopefully this week of go home shows can continue doing very well. Next up with another episode of NXT. And NXT gets underway with Randy Orton making his way to the ring. Randy Orton having returned at the Royal Rumble, and then returning to NXT last week, attacking Timothy Thatcher, the man who put him on the shelf at NXT TakeOver War Games. Orton comes down to the ring and he issues the chance to Thatcher. He says that Thatcher wanted this. He wanted Randy Orton. Now Randy Orton's here. Randy Orton's looking right at him. Orton says he wants Thatcher at Judgment Day one-on-one once again. And Timothy Thatcher comes out and he happily accepts. He says that he broke Orton enough last time to keep him out of action for a month. And, well, if Randy wants to go again, then sure. That's a good idea, probably, actually, because this time Thatcher will make sure to put Orton out for good. For a 90, good opening segment. Orton issuing the challenge, Thatcher happily accepting. Orton and Thatcher at Judgment Day, a big match to be had there. Then we have some commercials, and then we have AJ Styles coming down to the ring. Chad Gable comes down to the ramp tonight. Styles and Gable will each be picking an opponent for the other. And Styles in the ring first. Gable coming out and announcing that AJ Styles will be facing a man Chad Gable has a lot of respect for, and also coincidentally a man who eliminated AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble. Yes, he will be taking on Cesaro. A 100 for that announcement from Gable. Very good segment. Before the opening match of this evening, AJ Styles versus Cesaro. In the end, AJ Styles picks up the win with the Styles Clash in just under 20 minutes for an 87. Really good match, as you'd probably expect from AJ Styles and Cesaro. 90 Styles, 76 Cesaro. Very happy with this, as AJ Styles does come out on top. Thought we have a little promo video from #trending Waller, Perotta, Reggie, and Stratton. And Waller has a promise. He promises that tonight, #trending will be, well, let's just say there'll be #trending worldwide for a 26. Once again, got to build all 4 of these people up. But Waller making the promise that #trending will be #trending tonight for some reason. And then we have the tag team match from the men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. It is from NXT UK, the Coffey brothers. The Coffey brothers? It's one of them. Joe and Mark taking on the Mysterios, Ray and Dominik. The winner will take on DFG, Cassidy and Reddin of Destined for Greatness next week to determine NXT's finalists for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And the team they'll be going on to face DFG is the Mysterios. Mysterios getting the win. Dominik pinning Mark Coffey with the double 619 from the Mysterios for a 63. Decent match. 82 Ray, 39 Dom, 37 Mark, 35 Joe. Everyone doing okay here. Ray and Mysterio very much carrying this, as you'd expect, as the Mysterios are the team who will face DFG next week in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic final. We then have a little backstage segment. Raquel Gonzalez being interviewed by Kayla Braxton. Raquel in a very happy mood. She dealt with Tegan Nox at the Royal Rumble, and she says, and she's talking about her victory, about dominating Tegan Nox again, when Annie Cooper and Cora Jade walking past. Annie Cooper accidentally bumps into Raquel Gonzalez a little bit. Nothing really, but Raquel, not happy at that, starts attacking Annie Cooper, shoves Annie Cooper, Cora Jade stepping up, Raquel attacking Cora, Annie trying to help, but Raquel attacking them both, when Candice LeRae steps in for her 2 mentees and tells Raquel Gonzalez if she wants to fight, then don't go for the young, inexperienced Cora or Annie. If she wants to fight, Candice is standing right here for a 55. Raquel looking for a challenge. I mean, she dealt with Becky, she dealt with Tegan. Is Candice next? Could be. Before next up, we have the match from the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. We'll win it next week in the NXT final of the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic of their bracket. the winner of this match will take on hashtag trending's buffer than your boyfriend of Persia Pirotta and Tiffany Stratton. It is the Black-Hartwell Tank Express, I think I've dubbed them, because damn right, Indi Hartwell and Shotzi Blackheart taking on Team Ninja, Team TikTok, whatever you want to call them, Kayden Carter and Kacy Catanzaro, and in the end, it's the Black-Hartwell Tank Express who get the victory, with Shotzi pinning Kacy Catanzaro after they hit the missile driver on her. Indi Hartwell hits that missile dropkick, and then Shotzi Blackheart hits her senton for a 52. Good match between these four. Happy with this. 50 Shotzi, 50 Kacy, 47 Indi, 41 Kayden. No complaints, as Black-Hartwell Tank Express will take on Buffer Than Your Boyfriend next week for a spot in the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic final. Then we go backstage for a promo from Damian Priest, and he's taunting Balor. He says that it felt so good to take away his moment, to clip the Demon's wings at the Royal Rumble, and to watch Balor get pinned. And Priest says that if Balor has a problem with him, then he'll be waiting at Judgment Day for him, and Judgment Day will be upon Balor. Because Damian Priest says that since Balor beat him back at SummerSlam, it's been on his mind and he needs this. He's going to beat Finn Balor if Finn Balor's up for the fight, if he's man enough for the fight. And once he defeats Finn Balor, the inaugural Universal Heavyweight Champion, Damian Priest will be one step closer to his name living forever for a 78. Good promo from Damian Priest, issuing a Judgment Day challenge to Finn Balor. Before next up, we have the, as of announced last week, NXT North American Championship match between the champion, Carmelo Hayes, and Isaiah Swerve Scott. Scott having Dream and Loomis at ringside, Hayes having, of course, Reddin, Cassidy, Ogogo, Cargill, and Williams at ringside, his whole gang from DFG, destined for greatness. And Hayes and Scott going at it, a good match between the pair, getting towards the end, and outstorms, hashtag trending, Persia and Tiffany attacking Jade Cargill, whilst Grayson Waller and Reggie, weapons in hand, going for Cassidy and Reddin, trying to avoid a go-go as much as possible, but hitting Trick as well. Carmelo Hayes getting distracted, the referee getting distracted by all this commotion as well, going over to try and tell him to just get out of here. And Hayes not noticing Ethan Page, debuting Ethan Page, slide into the ring and hit Hayes in the back of the head with his NXT North American title. Hayes going down, clutching the back of his head. Page getting out the ring before the ref notices. Isaiah Swerve Scott gets up and hits that back of the head kind of kick he does when people are kneeling down, his little finisher, and picks up the win. Your winner and the new NXT North American champion, Isaiah Swerve Scott, for a 67. Good match. 55 Hayes, 63 Scott. Happy with this. And following that interference from hashtag trending, Grayson Waller made a promise, and they may be hashtag trending worldwide after that. The debut of Ethan Page costing Hayes the NXT North American title, as Isaiah Swerve Scott is the new champion in Velveteen Dream at ringside, kind of. I mean, he couldn't beat Carmelo Hayes, but Scott has done it. He's bemused, I don't know the word, he's surprised, I'll go with, for a 62. As then we go backstage for an interview with the Mysterios, in a good mood. Ray says it's one of the greatest honours of his career to be teaming with his son in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and he says they have the utmost respect for DFG, Reddin and Cassidy, but next week Mysterio says they're going to win. They're going to win the Dusty Cup, and then him and Dominik are going to become tag team champions, father and son champions together, for a 68. Good promo. Happy with this. This is time for the main event. Chad Gable in the ring. AJ Styles coming onto the ramp, ready to announce Gable's opponent, and he announces that tonight Chad Gable will face an old friend of his, and then out comes Abyss. Abyss, obviously AJ knowing Abyss from his TNA days, former NWA Tag Team Champions, the pair of them, AJ Styles giving Chad Gable a monster of a challenge to overcome here for a 91. Good little segment. And then in the main event, Chad Gable versus Abyss. In the end, Chad Gable manages to overcome the odds and pick up the victory on Abyss, taking him down with an RKO for a 77. Good segment. 88 Gable, brilliant performances ever from him. 20 Abyss, doing okay in his WWE debut here, as Chad Gable gets the win over Abyss, and then after the match, AJ Styles gets in the ring applauding Chad Gable. Gable, NXT title in hand, and him and Styles stare down. Styles says that it's time NXT gets a phenomenal champion, and Chad Gable is ready for a fight. Chad Gable, not one for trash talk. He'll let AJ do his talking, but in the ring, Chad Gable, he knows he can get the better of Styles. He's NXT champion for a reason, after all. 488, good segment, good show overall, I think. Getting a rating of 85, happy with that. Keeping the momentum going on the road to WrestleMania, and most importantly, heading into next episode's Judgment Day. I'm pleased. And hopefully we can have another good show next up with the go home episode heading into Judgment Day of Smackdown. And Smackdown gets underway with Goldberg making his entrance. Goldberg, having returned last week, having called out Thaddeus Bullard, telling the Universal Champion that he is next, makes his way out to the ring, and once again he calls out Bullard. He tells Bullard to get his big mouth trash talking ass out here right now for an 85. Goldberg telling Bullard there's nowhere to run, telling him that he's coming for him, that his Judgment Day is coming when Thaddeus Bullard does come out. But of course, he doesn't come out alone. He comes out with the Bullard brand, Cruz, Knight, Torres, Grimes, even Alfonso Bourbon, coming down on crutches with his injury, and they surround the ring. Bullard says, "You say I got nowhere to run, now you got nowhere to run." Goldberg, though, ready for a fight. Cruz, Knight, Torres, Grimes, he doesn't care how many there are, he's ready for a fight when the music of Keith Lee does hit, and Keith Lee charges out Bullard, getting as far away from that entrance ramp as possible onto the other side of the ring as Keith Lee gets in the ring with Goldberg. A little look between Lee and Goldberg, a little, a nod of approval, a show of respect. Both of them calling for the Bullard brand to get in the ring, and the Bullard brand do not. For a 90, the Bullard brand choosing to leave up the ramp instead of dealing with the team of Goldberg and Keith Lee, because honestly, who would want to fight that team? And then announced later, main event, Goldberg and Lee taking on two members of the Bullard brand, any two of their choosing, they do not mind. Before we start with a different tag team match in the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, it is the team of Doudrop and Mia Yim taking on the Honors Diamonds. Once again, if you have a better name idea, please let me know. Deonna Purrazzo and the $1 Million champion Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green working together, looking to advance in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. The winner of this, of course, next week on SmackDown will take on the team of No Mercy, Sonya Deville and Tay Conti, for a spot in the final. And in the end, Deonna and Green look like they got it when Bianca Belair comes out. Bianca Belair returning at the Rumble, eliminating Deonna. Deonna attacking Bianca last week, and now Bianca coming out. Deonna leaving ringside at the thought of having to fight Bianca Belair here, leaving Chelsea Green all alone, and in the end, Doudrop pinning Chelsea Green for the victory. It says after using a foreign object, obviously no. Doudrop pinning Chelsea Green fair and square, picking up the victory for a 66. Good match. 70 Purrazzo, 40 Green, 50 Doudrop, 42 Yim. Happy with this, as Doudrop and Mia Yim will be the team taking on No Mercy next week in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic of the SmackDown's bracket. Thanks to that interference from Bianca Belair, and after the match, Deonna getting in the ring to check on Chelsea Green, Monet, Lana, Aaliyah, all there with them, as Bianca Belair taunts Deonna. Deonna not very happy, but I mean, Deonna started this really, so don't want to blame for herself. For an 84, good segment. As then we have an interview with Samoa Joe. Later tonight, Samoa Joe taking on Roman Reigns one-on-one last week. The Usos going for Bronson Reed, who was fighting Joe at the time, accidentally hitting Joe. Joe going for the Usos, Roman attacking Joe, and now we got Reigns and Joe one-on-one tonight. And Samoa Joe says he's looking forward to it. He says that him and Reed, they can sort out their issues another time, because right now his focus is 100% solely on Roman Reigns. He says Roman Reigns calls himself the Tribal Chief. Well, tonight the Tribal Chief's getting choked out for an 89. Good segment from Joe. No complaints. Very good on the mic as ever. Hopefully Joe and Reigns can have a good match later on. As next up, we have the next match in the men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic on the SmackDown side. Is the team of Ace Austin and King Corbin taking on the former SmackDown Tag Team Champions Leon Ruff and Leo Rush. The winning team next week will take on the Hardy Boys for a spot in the men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic final. And in the end, it is Ace Austin and King Corbin who pick up the victory. King Corbin laying out Leon Ruff with the end of days and picking up the victory for a 70. Decent match here. 69 Corbin, 63 Austin, 57 Rush, 42 Ruff. I have no complaints, as King Corbin and Ace Austin pick up the victory and will take on the Hardy Boys next week for a spot in that Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic final. As then we have an interview with Bianca Belair, and Bianca Belair says that Deonna started this, but she'll be sure to finish this. She says that she would have been happy just coming back and focusing on the Women's Universal title, but she has no problems dealing with Deonna if Deonna wants that, and taking back her $1 million championship for a 92. Amazing promo work from Bianca as well tonight, as she has her eyes very clearly set on Deonna Purrazzo, and Deonna Purrazzo really no one to blame but herself for that. Before we stay backstage and we go to the Bullard Brands locker room, and Thaddeus Bullard is looking for who is going to take on Goldberg and Keith Lee later tonight. Socrates Torres happily volunteering. Alfonso Bourbon would, but on crutches, can't very much. Cameron Grimes volunteering. Bullard ignoring him, asking LA Knight saying, I would, but my knee, I've been feeling a bit under it, or Cameron Grimes volunteering again. Bullard asking Cruz not saying anything and just giving a kind of look to Bullard before Grimes volunteers again, and Bullard kind of sighs a bit dejected and says, okay Cameron, you can do it. So later tonight it will be Goldberg and Keith Lee against the team of Socrates Torres, FKA Sammy Guevara, one half of Spanish Fly, former SmackDown Tag Champs, and Cameron Grimes for a 100. Another amazing angle tonight. Segments always do be smacking. Before, next up, we do have that match announced earlier. It is Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, versus Samoa Joe. 1-on-1. Reigns just wanted to go for Reed. He wanted to hurt Reed for eliminating him at the Rumble. Joe caught in the crossfire, and Joe not enjoying being caught in the crossfire, getting Reigns 1-on-1 here. And in the end, after a brutal matchup between the pair, Roman Reigns comes out on top, hitting a spear onto Joe and pinning him for the 1-2-3 for a 90. Amazing match between these two, as you'd expect. 90 Reigns, 72 Joe. Very happy as Roman Reigns gets the victory after the match. Reigns standing tall as the Usos beat down on Samoa Joe, getting ready to go for the double slash when the music of Bronson Reed hits, and Bronson Reed storms down to the ring. Reigns sending the Usos up the ramp, but Reed laying out the Usos, and then looking to Reigns in the ring, going for him, but Reigns escaping, leaving the ring before Reed can get in there. Reigns, after a match with Samoa Joe especially, you think, not wanting to deal with Reed right now for a 90. Good segment. Reed making the save for Samoa Joe here despite their issues, and setting his eyes on Roman Reigns. Before we have a little segment with the Women's Universal Champion Shayna Baszler and the Royal Rumble winner Ronda Rousey. Shayna Baszler, of course, last week saying to Ronda, once you've won the Women's World title, the NXT title, whichever title you want, you can join us. No Mercy can dominate WWE even more so. And just a segment, Shayna showing off No Mercy's hard-hitting training strategies to Ronda, whilst, trying to grill her a bit about who she's thinking of facing. Ronda not answering, just observing the training strategies for a 94. Just a little segment here between the four for that 94. Very good. As then we have a little promo video for Judgment Day highlighting just some of the big matches. Bullard, Goldberg, Cole versus Gargano and Ciampa, Banks versus I Put Io Shirai's Kairi Sane, as announced by Paige moments ago. Reigns versus Reed 1-on-1. I'll go over the full card at the end of the video as usual for a 90. Before we have the main event in tag team action, it's Goldberg and Keith Lee, a dominant team, you'd have to say, taking on the Bullard Brand's own Socrates Torres and Cameron Grimes. And in the end, it's kind of a typical Goldberg match. Keith Lee starting as the legal man, going to work. Eventually, he's tags in Goldberg. Goldberg does his, 1 minute stretch, smashes Cameron Grimes with a spear, which he sells like absolute death before pinning him for the victory. For a 70, yeah, to be a bit expected. Goldberg, if I just go to the dirt sheet, penalised for short match length. Goldberg can't have longer, really. Goldberg, rusty, declining physical ability. A 70, disappointing, but what are you going to do? A good show still. 89 Lee, 78 Goldberg, 74 Torres, 70 Grimes. I'll take it. as after the match, the Bullard brand tries to attack Goldberg and Lee. Knight, Torres, storming in. At one point, Alfonso Bourbon getting in the ring with his crutch and smashing it on the back of Goldberg, and Goldberg just standing tall, looking annoyed, turning around, snatching the crutch from his hand. Alfonso Bourbon dropping to the floor as Goldberg snaps the crutch in half on his knee before Alfonso Bourbon quickly gets out of there. Goldberg standing tall, shouting to Bullard, reminding him that he's next for an 83. Good end to the show here. SmackDown overall gets a rating of 83, yeah. That main event really let the show down. Reigns Joe in the main event, this show, it gets like a 90, 91, 89, somewhere around there. But we take that, just building up. Judgment Day next. I'm fine with that. And speaking of Judgment Day, the card looking very good. I'll just go over it now for you. In a match that's been a few months in the making, Randy Orton finally getting his hands on Timothy Thatcher again as the pair go one-on-one. As Damian Priest taking on Finn Balor. Damian Priest costing Finn Balor his Universal Championship match at the Royal Rumble, and now Finn Balor looking for revenge. We also have the match announced tonight on SmackDown between the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. Before we get into the title matches, what this is really about, we have on the NXT side, there is Chad Gable defending his gold against the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. We have Raquel Gonzalez taking on Candice LeRae for the NXT Women's Championship, with Shayna Baszler issuing an open challenge for her Women's Universal Gold. We have Thaddeus Bullard taking on Goldberg. Will Goldberg become a 3-time Universal Champion? A very weird statement to say in 2022, but oh well. As Sasha Banks defending her Women's World Championship against Kairi Sane, and Adam Cole defending his WWE title against the Intercontinental Champion Johnny Gargano and the Hardcore Champion Tommaso Ciampa. In what is sure to be an incredible matchup, as well as the two massive things happening on Judgment Day. Ronda Rousey and Kyle O'Reilly will both be making their WrestleMania decisions. Who will the Royal Rumble winners choose to face at the Showcase of the Immortals? We'll have to find out, and I can't wait to see. But that is it for today. I hope you have enjoyed this episode, this go-home episode heading into Judgment Day. Like I said, a very quick turnaround between pay-per-views, but a lot to look forward to at Judgment Day nonetheless. If you have enjoyed, then please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more, and thank you for watching.